you read it. I don't want to mess things up if you're used to reading it.
Russell's on the way.
Okay. You got me covered? All right. Call this planning board meeting to order. I'll have our secretary read the call.
It is 6:35 PM on November 3rd, 2025, and this is the regular meeting of the Monroe Township Planning Board. Notice of this meeting was given as required by the Open Public Meetings Act, and a copy was posted on the second floor bulletin board in Town Hall and on the township's website. Please note audio and video of this meeting is being recorded in accordance with Ordinance 56, 2024. The meeting is being broadcasted live on the township's YouTube channel, and a link to view this meeting will be posted on the township website for the public to view at their convenience.
All right, rise and pledge the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll have a roll call, Madam Secretary.
Ms. Fox?
Here.
Mr. Giacomucci? Mr. Hessel? Ms. Kennedy is excused. Mr. Kozak?
Here.
Mr. Laughlin is excused. Mr. Mari?
Here.
Mr. O'Brien?
Here.
Mayor Wolf?
Here.
Mr. Young?
Here.
Mr. Campbell? Ms. Pellegrini? Mr. Dockney? Thank you.
All right. First order of business, our solicitor will swear in our professionals.
If you both please raise your right hand and for the record state your name from your right to my left.
Chris Dockney, board planner.
Pam Pellegrini, board engineer.
You both swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide to the board is the truth and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I
Okay.
do.
All right. You want to?
Sure.
Memorialization of resolutions. I'll have our solicitor read them.
Mr. Chairman, I've prepared 3 resolutions to memorialize the actions that you took at last month's meeting. First resolution for your consideration is Planning Board Resolution 3125 relating to application 1883. The applicants were George and Denise Adams. You approved a minor subdivision. Is there a motion to approve that?
I'll entertain a motion. Is there a second? Roll call.
Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Mr. Giacomucci? Yes. Mr. Hessel? Ms. Kennedy? Ms. Kennedy's absent. Mr. Kozak?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Here. Yes.
And Mr. Young?
Yes.
And the other members that are present here were not here for that meeting.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, I prepared Resolution Planning Board 3225 relating to application 1880. The applicant was Thomas Duffy. The board last month approved final major subdivision. And I would ask for a motion to approve Planning Board Resolution 3225, which would memorialize that approval.
You heard our solicitor. I need a tenant.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call.
Again, I'll only call the members that were present for that. Mr. Giacomucci? Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Mr. Kozak?
Yes.
Mr. Hessel? Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, the third matter before you for memorialization is Planning Board Resolution 33-25. That's a waiver of site plan 04 of 25. The applicant was Ground Level Customs LLC, and you approved a site plan waiver. Is there a motion to approve Planning Board Resolution 3325?
Need a motion?
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Giacomucci? Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Mr. Kozak?
Yes.
Mr. Hessel? Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Those are the resolutions I prepared for your consideration.
All right.
Actually, there's one later in the meeting we'll talk about later.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Solicitor. First order of business, a public hearing, Morgan Development Group, LLC. the applicants are here.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, Peter Flannery with the law firm of Bisgayer Hoff on behalf of the applicant, Morgan Development Group, LLC. This is an application for amended preliminary and final site plan approval. And notice was provided, and I ask that the board take jurisdiction.
All right. Go ahead, Mr. Solicitor.
The board will accept jurisdiction, and we need to confirm that the application is complete.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Campbell.
Do you have any comments about the completeness?
Yes, there's several waivers. Waivers are actually deferrals to be provided, documentation to be provided as a condition of approval. This includes, under Section 3 of my letter, Item B5, all common open space organization documents, which are outlined in A through E. The board accepting these to be provided as documentation, the documentation be provided as a condition of approval is needed to deem it complete. We have no objection to this request. That includes also covenants and easements that documentation, including anything involving covenants and easements, would also be provided as a condition of approval.
Mr. Flannery, is it my understanding that the applicant seeks to defer those requirements or those components of the application until such time as the plats can be recorded?
That's correct. And just to clarify, the approval of those documents would be by the board's professionals. Thank you.
So subject to those conditions, there's nothing else that you would call the board's attention that concerns you about the completeness of the application?
There's one other item. They did not resubmit a traffic report, engineering, environmental assessment, a fiscal impact analysis. However, these reports were submitted prior and approved as part of the ongoing process of the application. There are no proposed changes that would affect those reports, so we consider them still applicable. Therefore, no waivers are requested or required for those.
And your recommendation is to accept the application as complete, subject to those waivers and comments?
That is correct.
So if the board would like to make a motion to accept the application as complete, that'd be appropriate.
You heard our solicitor that on this application, I need a motion to show it complete.
Motion.
Second. Roll call.
I'm sorry, Caroline, you were first?
Yes.
Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Mr. Hessel? Yes. Mr. Giacomucci? Yes. Mr. Kozak?
Yes, at the advice of our professional.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mr. Maury?
Yes.
Thank you, sorry.
All right, go ahead, continue.
Thank you very much. Just really briefly before I turn this over to our engineer, as some members of this board may recall, this is an application that amends approvals going back to 2019. It's for a cluster subdivision, residential subdivision, on about a 40.98 acre site, undeveloped land here in Monroe. The preliminary approval was granted by this board in 2019. There were subsequent final subdivision approvals, including the most recent, which was early last year in 2024, when various variances and design waivers are granted as part of the application as well. We're back before the board this evening for really an adjustment to the subdivision to accommodate Pineland's requirements for stormwater. There are now 84 lots, 82 residential, and 2 open space lots, including the stormwater management facilities. I'm going to have our engineer in a moment just go through the application to show the board what's being proposed, what's different from what was previously approved, and address the comments in the professionals' review letters. So if I could have our engineer sworn and qualified, please.
Sir, for the record, can you give us your name?
Yeah, Eric Littlehales, Consulting Engineer Services.
You swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide this board is the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Mr. Littlehales, just state for the record your education, experience, and qualifications.
I've been a licensed professional engineer in the state of New Jersey for 25 years. I have a Bachelor of Engineering degree from Widener University from 1996.
Mr. Chairman, if the applicant is offering the witness as an expert, I would recommend that the board accept the applicant as an expert in site civil engineering.
No problem. Go ahead.
So the house, you have one exhibit here. If you could just describe that, we'll mark that exhibit A1.
Yeah, sure. The exhibit in front of you is a rendered site layout plan over top the existing aerial of the neighborhood surrounding it. So the plan you see in front of you is significantly the same plan that you've been seeing over the last 5 or 6 years. There's 82 residential properties being proposed. When this project went back into the Pinelands for our no call-up letter, the Pinelands came down and indicated that we needed to address some of the current stormwater management regulations that the Pinelands had put in place from the time that we had received our preliminary and final approval to the time that we went in and requested our no call-up letter. So the extensive coordination with the Pinelands, we had worked with them to determine the extent of the requirements of what we needed to implement. And the plan you see in front of you is the agreed upon between the Pinelands and the applicant. So specifically, the large basin at the bottom of the property or the south of the proposed plan that you see in front of you. Those are water quantity basins that were there as part of the original applications. What happened is the bottom of those have been broken up into smaller, lower levels, up to 8 smaller, I guess, kind of pods to address and segregate the water quality aspect of the stormwater runoff of the site. In addition, the Pinelands required additional basins to be proposed on the west side of the development behind the houses along that side, and an additional one basin located kind of in the middle of the grouping of housing. Those items were to specifically address nitrate dilution, water quality, and such with the Pinelands. Again, we worked extensively with them to come with this plan. And brought it in front of you as required by the Pinelands before we go back into the Pinelands for the no call-up letter. Again, this project has 82 single-family houses as was originally approved for several times. Now we have 2 open space slots and multitude of basins. The plan now is to have a homeowners association that will be responsible for the open space lots and the components contained within the open space lots, including the stormwater management basins. So just to bring everybody up to speed, if you weren't here or you don't remember the project is on Morgan Road. We are just south of the intersection with New Brooklyn Road. We have utility access, water's coming from New Brooklyn and also being extended from the rear of the site into from Friars Lane. Sanitary sewer is being served by gravity. That's going out to Christina Court through an easement. The overall development, which if you've driven out there, is currently under construction. The phase 1 component of it, the Pinelands allowed that to proceed with construction to phase 1. So phase 2 and phase 3 is where the majority or all the additional stormwater management features have been proposed. So there were some particular comments in the review letters, particularly around the small basin that's located in the middle circle area. It's been requested that basin, because of its close proximity to houses, to include a fence around that one. The client has agreed to do that and also make the modifications to get an access road into that basin at a 5-to-1 slope. There was comments specifically about the landscaping. The landscaping that's shown on the plan is significantly the same as what was originally approved multiple times. The size of the trees, the location of the trees, and the size of the foundation plantings. The one area that is actually has additional landscaping. As if you're familiar with the area, there is a junkyard located just to the north of the property. Once that area, this Phase 1 area was cleared, it was obvious that we needed to increase or enhance the buffer area in that area. So we have extensive evergreen trees being planted between the rear of those houses and the adjacent lands to the north. There is one modification. The client is proposing to make a change. The large basin located at the south of the property currently is fenced in with a 5-foot-high chain link fence. It's currently proposed roughly 5 feet off the rear of the property lines of the lots that are adjacent to it. There's a concern with the contract purchaser that the homeowners association is going to have a difficult time getting into that narrow area to maintain it. And, there's currently plantings being proposed on both sides. So there's a small adjustment that the client would like to shift that fence up on the rear property lines and move the landscaping, within the basin areas, but right behind the fence. I talked to your professionals. They suggested that it, be reviewed with the board members. Again, we are leaving the fence around the basin, but we're just looking to propose to shift that up on the rear property lines and move the landscaping just inside the fence to allow it easier for maintenance, so there's not this unusual 5-foot gap that has landscaping in it that, the HOA's landscaper might have to cross onto private property to try to maintain, or if, they want to put up their own fence, then there's this weird gap in between. So that there is a request there to address that. And that summarizes the changes and modifications that we've made to the plan from the previous approval.
Thank you. That's all the direct I have at this time. Welcome questions from the board or professionals.
So summarizes the same number of units?
Correct.
As previously approved and amended? Same points of ingress and egress?
Yes, correct.
Is there a secondary means of access?
Now, what you see going out the rear of the site, that is the 30-foot wide easement for the MMUA. That's where the sanitary sewer is going. It is a stone access per the requirement of the MMUA, but it's not any direct access. The personal vehicles are not allowed on it, just specifically for the MMUA.
It appears to be a small green strip to get to the stormwater basins between the units just at the lower corner. Am I seeing that correctly?
There are 3 locations to get to the stormwater. I'm going to step away from the microphone and point that out. So we have an access located here. We have access to the basins here. We have a secondary access here, and then we have a third one, which is a dual access with the MUA, access to the basins at the rear.
Thank you. Anybody else have questions for the?
Yeah. Any questions from any of the board members before I ask our engineer to comment on this application? All right.
That's okay.
Ken, why don't you go ahead and comment on this application for us?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The application, as they stated, was necessitated from stormwater management changes. Our review of those changes, there are some items, like they mentioned, that needed to be added to Basin C. They have agreed. They have a response letter, and in testimony tonight, they have agreed to comply with our letter, as well as comply with the fees, contributions, obligations, and outside agency approvals. So the only other item is the fence relocation, which I do not have an objection to. In fact, that 5-foot area, if left, access would be an issue to maintaining, plus it would provide creep from the residential properties onto the HOA property. So having the fence along the property line and the landscaping on the interior of that still visible around the perimeter of the basin is a good change.
Any questions for our engineer, the board?
Through the chair,
Yes, go ahead.
4-foot black on black chain link.
It's actually proposed as a 5-foot black vinyl chain link, 5-foot black vinyl chain link fence.
Yeah.
Right. And why aren't we proposing any fence for the other additional basins in the rear? You're only putting it on the side one, right? The chain, or you?
It's just on the side one. There's no other no other fencing around the basin. correct?
Yeah, so the basins we're proposing, I'm going to step away again and point them out. The basins along the south of the property, because these are the larger water quantity basins that are going to have more water in them than the other ones. And we also agreed to add fence around the small basin here that's in the center block, specifically because that's close proximity to residential homes. These ones in the rear are small water quantity basins that are taking off-site flow and some redirected flow. There's less limited water into those, and we're going to actually try to replant some of those areas and have it go back to natural as much as possible.
You're okay with that, Pam?
Yes, we're okay with that.
Yeah, these basins don't, the water stays right there and just drains in. They don't continue on
Correct.
anywhere. They hold the water right there, right?
Yes.
And they have to drain within a certain amount of time, right?
Correct, yes.
That's all I have. Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else? Our planner, do you have any comments on this application?
Just a couple of questions. The first, I'll make a few comments. I do have to point out, as they've said several times now, this is an amended application. All the variances required of this application technically were previously approved with the original approval of the subdivision and site plan. So there are no new variances, and it appears most of the design waivers that I had flagged in my review were also approved with the prior application. I had flagged a couple additional ones that appear to match the previously approved conditions, but I don't think those specific waivers were called out in the resolution of approval. And that was the spacing of shade trees and the height of the trees in the buffer. My understanding is what they're proposing now is consistent with what was previously approved. I don't know if that's perhaps your code had changed in the last 6 years since that previous approval or not. But either way, I don't necessarily have a problem with their plans matching what was previously approved. I do have one question. Can you point out on the plan where you were discussing before what that 5-foot gap of the fence is? That you said the south side. Is it the south side or is it the east side of the property? I think north is to the right
Sorry,
here.
I was playing south.
Okay.
The gap is located behind lot 30 to the lot, the fence is at the lot 34.
Okay, I thought that's where it was when I heard south. I was looking at the other side of the plan thinking, I don't see any
It
fences.
was
over there.
playing south, so I
Okay,
apologize.
sorry. So the discussion that the engineer and I had earlier today was he had let me know about the thought to move the fence, and I have absolutely no objection to them moving the fence. Sometimes when there's a buffer fence and buffer plantings right up against residential properties, I like to see the fence be a little bit off the property so the neighbors are looking at the trees rather than the fence, but what's immediately over there is, for the most part, it's just more trees anyway, so it's not, doesn't make any difference in terms of the impact of the buffer where that fence is located. So I have no objection to moving the fence so you don't have an awkward 5-foot gap that likely would not be maintained. And I have just one question here. In your response letter, it seems you're willing to comply with the majority of our landscaping comments. You point out that the tree selection had been previously approved, and I'm not necessarily disputing that, but there's a couple of species that our landscape architects had flagged as being potentially subject to bacterial leaf scorch, and that's the 2 oak species. Do you have any objection to swapping out those species with something that is not likely to, not as disease prone as those?
We have no objection to working with your office, also in conjunction with the Pinelands obviously also. So yeah, we have no objection working with you guys.
Okay, great. That's what I wanted to hear. And the same goes for the foundation plantings, to pick out some native species as opposed to what was on the plan.
That's
Is that
correct.
any objection to that?
We have no objection to working with the
Okay.
office, not the in-house.
Those were the only questions I had. As I said, all the actual relief required of this application appears to have been previously granted. Nothing is really changing other than the details for stormwater management. The overall zoning issue here is exactly the same as what was previously approved.
All right, thank you. Any question from any of the board members before I open to the public? Seeing none, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to open to the public. Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone from the public want to comment on this application before the board? come up to the mic, state your name and address, and come right on up to the podium. Our solicitor will swear you in.
Good evening. For the record, could you tell us your name?
Yes, my name is William Berkland.
Mr. Erkler, would you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide this board is the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Because maybe we're sitting way back too far, but couldn't tell pretty much what anybody was saying. So, and this was facing the other way, so I got a question that might be redundant. Originally, we came to the planning board meeting probably in 19 or whatever it was, and we thought the whole project was located a lot different than the way it's being cut out, in the woods behind us. I live on Friars Lane, and they went and they found out that it was the sewer system that goes out towards Christina Avenue, and they cut a swath through the woods, probably 20, 25 feet wide, all the way out to the street, and it's cut through what I thought was considered green space when Christina Avenue was first built, that piece of property behind us was going to be left alone, and now they cut all those trees out. I was just wondering if that was part of the green space, or was I wrong?
So you're talking about off the site, where they cut through to bring the sewer into the site, right?
Right.
Mr. Flannery, you want to?
Yeah, I can address that. That cutting was done, that clearing was done in conjunction with the easement. It's my understanding that that will all be reforested after we get the approval and proceed per Pinelands. So that the clearing will be addressed. There'll be vegetation, trees planted, vegetation, appropriate vegetation planted in that area.
Is the junkyard business itself going to be coming to an end, or because they've been making noise for a couple of years? I thought it was in preparation to make room for get rid of the junkyard and make room for houses, but they're still cutting and banging and crushing it, whatever they do, early in the morning to late at night.
Any other questions? Anything else?
So, yeah, we would have to find out for you, Mr. Berkland. If you can call my office this week, and we'll try to get an answer. From my understanding, last time we met with the gentleman that owns that, they were supposed to be downsizing that entire business there, and moving in another direction, but this is the first I'm hearing that, so.
Been there for years, and it really didn't start making any all the noise until I thought they were getting ready to move out.
Yeah, so we could try to get those answers for you on that.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
All right.
Give you what?
Yeah, just give me a shout tomorrow as a reminder, and
Okay.
I'll look into that.
Thank you.
Okay?
All right, thank you. Anyone else want to comment on this application before us? Seeing none, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the public portion.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Solicitor, you want to?
Sure. So,
Take
Mr.
us
Chairman,
through.
if the board were inclined to approve the application, I would recommend that it include a condition that the applicant agree to all comments and requirements indicated in your professional's letters, and that the applicant agree to cooperate and coordinate with your professionals regarding the selection of plantings and trees for the buffers. Even if they might deviate from the plans, then in the end, it's coordination and approval by the planner tree selection.
Do you have anything else you want to add before we go ahead and vote?
No, that's all, Mr. Chairman. Just respectfully request that the board grant the approval. Thank you.
All right. I need a motion on this application before us.
Motion?
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Roll call.
Roll call. That's true. I forgot.
Mr. Giacomucci?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Mr. Kozak?
Yes, with the recommendations of our professionals.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mr. Hessel?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Maury?
Yes.
Okay, you're approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Our next meeting is December, sorry,
When is it?
December 1st, so the resolution should be prepared and ready by then.
All right. The next order of business is, Sahara Sand. Are they here? Come right up to the mic and we'll start the business.
We are present. Good evening, everybody.
All right.
My name is Bob Baranowski. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Highland, Levin, Shapiro in Marlton, representing the applicant in this matter, Sahara Sand. Just giving our engineer, Mr. Bruce Jacobs here, a chance to set up his easel, and we will put up our plan for display. And if anybody in the public wants to see that, we could turn that around. Yeah, I think we're okay. So if the board can see that, I think we may even have some handouts. Do we have that? We don't have handouts, so I'm not going to offer that tonight. We can move this closer if you need to see it. I also have with me this evening Mr. James Graff, who's the Director of Real Estate for Sylvie. He'll be testifying as well. And before I get going on any kind of overview, if Mr. Chairman, if you'd like to hear from your professionals on completion, we'd be happy to answer any questions, any waivers that were requested.
No problem.
Let's start by swearing your potential witnesses in.
If you like, I'll bring them up. We'll swear them in to start with. All right, Mr. Jacobs and Mr. Graff, I'll have you come to the mic.
Gentlemen, for the record, would you provide us with your name?
Bruce Jacobs with the firm Cravat Consulting Group, professional engineer and planner in the state of New Jersey.
James Graff, Director of Real Estate Facility Materials. I'm a licensed real estate agent in the state of Pennsylvania. Commercial real estate experience for the last 15 years, various roles.
You both raise your right hand. You swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide the board is the truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
So I think the first order of business, Mr. Chairman, would be to ask your professionals if the application is complete.
The application has requested several waivers in order to be deemed complete. An architectural plan and views of each type of building. There are no buildings that are proposed other than the temporary mining offices that will be removed at the end of the operation. As such, a waiver has been requested. Proposed circulation plans, including access streets, easements, fire lanes. There are no major cartways proposed, and the driveways remain as existing. As such, a waiver has been requested. The location of existing and proposed wastewater collection facilities and potable water supply facilities. There are no wastewater or potable water supply facilities on site, therefore a waiver has been requested. Also, as part of the major site plan application checklist, the applicant did not submit a New Jersey Pineland certificate of filing for the amended site plan to include Lot 3. The applicant is requesting a waiver to supply said documentation after receipt as a condition of approval. The attorney's narrative indicated that the application has been submitted to the Pinelands concurrently with the municipal application, and we have no objections to this being a condition of approval.
And is it your testimony that the waivers requested don't impair or limit the board's ability to understand and appreciate the nature of the application?
I do.
With that representation, I would ask that the board accept the application as complete and proceed. You want to take a motion and all in favor?
Okay. You heard our solicitor on this application, has no, deemed it complete. I need a motion. A second? Roll call.
You can do all three. You can do all three.
Oh, okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Go right ahead.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, everybody. And again, just by way of a very brief overview, this is a pretty straightforward application. This is an amended site plan seeking to add Block 8001, Lot 3 to the approved mining site. And this is really for the purposes at this time for that property to be a buffer. There is no proposal at this time for any active mining to be conducted on that site. So we'll have Mr. Jacobs explain to you, as shown on the plan, that really just slides the 200-foot required buffer over to the east and allows for that equivalent area of mining to be conducted on the site that is already approved for mining. So that's really kind of it in a nutshell. And I could ask Mr. Graff just to confirm what I'll tell you by overview, and that is there's really no other change proposed in connection with operations. It's the same number of employees, the same hours, the same number of trucks in and out. This really doesn't impact anything from an operations standpoint other than to just slide the buffer over to the east. And everything will otherwise remain the same. We will maintain that required 200-foot buffer area to all of the adjacent property lines as required by the designs and standards section of your code applicable to resource extraction activities. And that's the section, that is section 175-130 B1A. That requires the 200-foot buffer. As part of the professionals' review letters, there was a comment pertaining to block 8001 lot 2, which is kind of now a little bit of a donut hole in respect to the surrounding mining activity. We will maintain the required buffer to that area, and as part of that buffer area, there is some discussion in your ordinance about what occurs within a buffer area, and there is reference to a requirement to put a 25-foot planted strip as part of a buffer area to a residential use, and we would agree to have our engineer work with your professionals to establish exactly what kind of plantings should be within that 25-foot wide strip. We would propose to have that at the edge of the 200-foot buffer area adjacent to the property line with Lot 2, where I believe that buffer strip, the planted strip, would be kind of most effective. And we can, if the board agrees to do so, you delegate that to your professionals. We'll work with your professionals to make sure to give them a planting plan, the species, the details, and so forth, that your professionals find to be adequate for that purpose. But we will certainly maintain that required buffer area. We are operating under a current soil removal permit, a mining permit that's effective from July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2026. That permit is issued pursuant to Chapter 245 of your municipal code. We're seeking to add Lot 3, with your approval, to our approved overall mining site. And then, of course, that permit would have to be renewed in the ordinary course from 2026 for an additional permit renewal cycle. And I think the code allows that to be anywhere from 2 to 5 years. And given we've been before the board, we were here in 2021 with an amended site plan, which was approved. Obviously, we're here again. This matter and the mining activities have been reviewed several times by Pinelands during that period of time due to the 2-year mining permit cycle. We had just recently received a no call-up letter for this 2024 permit back on August 8th, 2025. There was just kind of information going back and forth, and we just got our no call-up letter just this past August. So that current no call-up letter and the current certificate of filing that preceded that no call-up letter include all the properties that would be within the active mining area that is under the plan that you have before you. The only addition would be Lot 3 added as a buffer, and again, with the mining activity sliding into what was previously the buffer and kind of moving the existing buffer over. That's kind of really what we have before you. We had review letters from your professionals. We had a review letter from your planner, Mr. Dockney, on October 7th. It was updated on October 23rd after we had issued a response letter and a revised plan on October 16th. We also had review letters from your engineer, Ms. Pellegrini from Colliers, dated October 8th, and again updated on October 22nd after we submitted our response letter and updated plans on October 16th. I think in general, with regard to technical details and so on, we're kind of in alignment to address all of your professionals' comments and questions. I just have a few clarifications to go through after you hear some testimony. We can address that through the testimony from Mr. Graff and Mr. Jacobs, and you'll see how that will be effectuated through presentation of the exhibit and the testimony, and some of the details we can kind of hit as we go through the testimony, and I can follow up on that. I think by way of overview, that kind of covers it.
By way of overview, can you just point to Lot 3, what's being added?
I would be delighted to have Mr. Jacobs do that, and if you'd like, Council, we can refer to what I think you have displayed before you as A1. It's an aerial photograph of the site with the tax map overlaid on that. It was prepared by Mr. Jacobs' office. And you'll also see before you Exhibit A2 is just an enlargement of the site plan amendment. So we have that with us as well. So, Mr. Jacobs, if you heard the question from council, if you could please point to the lot that's proposed to be added to the site. That's Block 8001, Lot 3.
On the most easterly side of the property, and I've highlighted it on the overall mining plan in hot pink.
And so when Mr. Baranowski talks about sliding the 200-foot buffer, what you're really doing is moving it into Lot 3 so that you can then mine where the existing buffer is?
That is correct. Lot 3 is 150 feet wide, so it's most of Lot 3 and a portion of the existing mining area.
That's all I want.
No, all good, all good. Thank you for pointing that out. That's really it by way of overview, and now you can see, by way of reference to the plan, the lot, the subject lot at issue. If I might have Mr. Graff just confirm what I have relayed to you by way of overview is accurate, and certainly he's willing to answer any questions. So, Mr. Graff.
Good afternoon, board members. So I can confirm, and would like to reiterate the fact that this is simply an expansion of the buffer area to the existing mining operations with no change to the operations itself. No hours of operation change, no employees, no change in our mining operation in terms of the dredge, in terms of equipment. There were some specific comments towards, I think I'll hit some of the larger items that were in the review letters. One of them being that there were existing dwellings in the mining plan with that were noted as to be demolished. So those dwellings had tenants in them with existing leases. One of them has since expired and is month to month, and we are working with her. Her name is Patricia Schwain. I invited her tonight to hear everything that's going on and get the live update. Doesn't believe that she's here, but she requested that we work with her until the first quarter to give her some time. Her lease officially expired June of this year, so we're pushing to get her out. You know, she's not happy, but we said, barring your approval, that we will work with her for a quick exit or until she finds something in the new year. In terms of there's another dwelling that exists on the lot that we are expanding into, Lot 3. There is an existing tenant. This is upside down, Bruce. So there's an existing tenant in the lot that we're expanding into. We purchased the property in 2023, I believe, and it executed a 2-year lease in 2024. That lease expires May of 2026, and they have since been told that they need to vacate upon expiration. And shortly thereafter, if both of these tenants vacate, we will demolish the buildings.
And what block and lot is that?
So the Swain would be, I don't know it off the top of my head. It doesn't say it on the tax map, but I'll have to get that to you.
Okay.
It's 8001 lot 1. Patricia Swain was the previous owner. We purchased it from her, and she's been living there since.
So they'll vacate after the lease is done?
Correct. Well, the lease it's been terminated. She's month to month, and she asked that we work with her until she finds a new place
Okay.
to live.
Okay.
Looks like it's 2 over from Lot 3.
And what happens if she doesn't, I mean, what's the plan if she doesn't efficiently leave? How does it affect her business?
Yeah, I would. So we're working with her, right, in good graces, but we'd have to do eviction procedures. Correct, yes. So the existing existing building on Lot 3, as soon as they expire in May of 2026, which they have been given or termination notice, we will have demolition plans in place.
Are we all right?
So, how many tenants do you have?
There's, yeah, just 2 in the plan.
So it's only the tenants on lot 3 that have the lease till May 2026?
Correct.
And the tenant on 8001 lot 1, her lease has been terminated, and that's who you're working with?
Correct.
Okay.
And again, we invited her to the hearing tonight, in case she wanted to make comment, but it doesn't appear that she's here.
No, I think you can approve it.
We can approve it?
One of the other, if I can move on, if there's no more questions around that.
So the point's been raised that you can't begin a commercial activity on a residential lot, right? You can't have 2 uses going on at the same time.
Correct. And that was previously part of a discussion, I believe, in the past, and the solution was to have the tenant remove and to remove the structure, and that is the solution we're maintaining at this time.
So you won't be doing active commercial mining activity on a lot while there's still residents there?
Right, lot 1, right. That's correct.
Through the chair to our.
Yeah, go ahead.
So we'll make
Yeah.
that a condition,
Yeah.
right?
Well, I
Just
think
make
it's
it
the
a
law.
condition.
Yes, but I'm happy to.
Right, absent a use variance, we can't do
Yes.
both.
That's all, right? Because they purchased, who the tenant is or who they purchased the house from.
Correct.
And they let them stay with a lease. We would just make it a condition, right?
You can't do both at the same time.
No. All right,
We agree with that.
that's it.
Yeah.
No rebuttal?
No, is there anything else he wants to share?
Anything else?
Yeah, there were some other
Go ahead.
comments, the review letters that.
Why don't you go ahead and proceed with that, and then we'll move.
Sure,
with
so
our
to reiterate
engineering.
the buffer
Right.
situation on lot 2, 80012, we will agree to put a buffer, a landscape buffer, which is now clear, and work with your engineers on the appropriate buffer there. And then there was some comment about debris. There was a construction trailer that's from an old owners. They were supposed to remove it. It still remains. We have a contractor consulted to remove it by the end of the month, November.
That was the Collier's letter comments.
Through the chair to.
Yes, go ahead.
Solicitor, we're gonna make that a condition too then, right?
We would agree with that.
Wait, could you repeat that? I'm sorry. Comment 6 didn't,
That they remove the debris that you suggested. They remove.
okay.
We have it by the end of the month, we have a contract. And then, Mr. Graff, you can just confirm that the property is either enclosed by a fence or has a form of access control to the access drives, and you have security around the perimeter to monitor against unauthorized access.
Correct. So the entire mining operation, we have one main entrance that has a gateway to avoid any unnecessary authorization or access, and the remaining perimeter of the mine itself is covered in trees, by natural landscape and berms.
Anything else?
I don't know if it's for this
Go ahead,
witness,
Joe.
Mr. Baranowski, the ordinance talks about after you're done mining in an area, you restore it. That's my terms, not the terms of the ordinance. But so, how is that proceeding on the site? Is there any restoration that's actively going on, and what does that look like?
I can kind of tag team this with Mr. Graff, but the ordinance at 175-130B1I references restoration to be that it would occur at the completion of resource extraction operation, and the entire site is really still subject to active resource extraction operations, and there are still some mining reserved in areas that have been largely active, largely mined, but Mr. Graff can kind of elaborate on that issue.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So there's still reserve potential in areas that we mine, and further, we utilize the pond area and the open area for deposit of things that are not usable in materials, construction materials such as silt. So, as everything that's extracted is processed, silt may be kind of dumped in areas of the pond, that were previously mined. So it's an ongoing process that we have a couple mines like this, these larger operations. It's not you mine, you're done, you restore. We'll have the ability and the potential in the future to go back and utilize some of these areas.
Is the obligation to go back and restore land also part of your state permit?
Yeah, everything, that's correct. Everything that's part of our local approval, of course, is subject to, Pineland's final review and approval, and it is subject, restoration is a requirement of your ordinance, it's a requirement of our approvals, and it's bonded. You have bonds in place for restoration to occur, and we have an approved restoration plan that's part of our overall package. So it's belt and suspenders situation.
Does the bonding change as you add additional land to be mined and then later restored?
Whatever the bonding requirements are per every approval cycle, that's what we submit. I'm sure the cost at some point would be adjusted accordingly as the years go on. One other thing I wanted to clarify at the conclusion of the testimony too is I wanted to tell you, we agree wholesale with the comments in your professionals review letters. I just wanted to clarify a few things. There was a comment about a non-residential development fee. So I wanted to comment on that, that I don't believe it's applicable here because we're not engaging in any non-residential development as that's defined at the statute. And I could review that with council. It's actually in the part of the land use law at 40:55 capital D-8.3, which defines non-residential development as buildings, structures, hotels, motels, continuing care retirement communities, and appurtenances to those developments. So I don't think this application is subject to a non-residential development fee. And for similar reasons, I don't think a developer's agreement is required here because, again, we're not developing any buildings or structures that have appurtenant site improvements, which is what you would really see governed by the provisions of a developer's agreement, that those site improvements would be installed as required. So I don't think a developer's agreement is part of this requirement either. And the code actually at section 175-55 specifically says the board concurs with that view. You do have authority to waive any requirement to have a developer's agreement under the code. So I think the ordinance and the code anticipates this type of situation that this board can waive that requirement.
So I was in counsel for the board in the past when you had the prior approvals. And I appreciate that a developer's agreement is not something typically thought of in this situation. The only thought occurs to me is, should there be a developer's agreement as it relates to the reclamation, make sure that that it's eventually reclaimed or replanted or whatever the process is, and that meets certain standards. I just feel like we're kind of, it's my first opportunity to look at this application. I don't know how long you're going to be mining there, but you wouldn't want, when mining ends, to pack up and go home without making sure we get done.
Right. And I understand your perspective on that, Mr. Campbell. I think it's addressed by the bonding requirement. It's an approved reclamation plan. And I think you have, all the enforcement in place already for that to occur. I don't think it needs to be the subject of an additional agreement. It'd be, duplicative and redundant.
Forgive me for not knowing the answer. Who approves the reclamation plan?
You do. You do, and then that approval is allowed to be effective if it's consistent with the requirements of the CMP, and Pinelands ultimately gives the final seal of approval.
But the reclamation plan that we're talking about was approved back when you got your original approval?
Correct. It's part of the 2021 approved package. It's part of our approved set of plans that the Pinelands just finally recently again gave our no call-up letter to on August 8th. So yes, it is a set of set of sheets within the approved plans.
Maybe ask our professionals to comment on that when you get to it. If they're comfortable with it.
All right.
But when you get to it.
I'm going to do it now, since we're talking about it. And why don't you give us anything on this application from the engineer?
Yes. We had a question. I have a question about some of the testimony. It's my understanding, our understanding was the 200-foot buffer would be completely restored with, there's some planting details on sheet 10 of 13. Is that not what's proposed for the buffer?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear everything you said. Sheet 10
of 13. There is procedure for buffer restoration, and we had asked, and the buffer shows plantings within it for the entire 200-foot. So is that not what is proposed for the 200-foot buffer? There was a mention of something of 25 feet. I don't know that that's in.
That sounds like sheet 10 of 13, if you want to take a look at your plan set, Mr. Jacobs. Sheet 10 of 13, and you can let us know. Ms. Pellegrini indicated that is referenced as a buffer restoration plan, which covers 200 feet. And can we clarify that that is part of the restoration plan and not the proposed buffer planting area to Lot 2?
That is part of the restoration plan, that 200 feet. The area within that is the edge of the mine, as well as there's a access road that runs through that, on the edge of that, and to the edge. And so that's the area that it's going to be supplemented with vegetation, so that it's a full 200-foot buffer at the reclamation time.
Well, that's not necessarily 200 feet. 200 feet is beyond that.
Yeah, but that's the part that's not being disturbed.
No, it is well, there are places that don't have vegetation in them already, and that is one of the questions around Lot 2, is there isn't any vegetation around that. This is clearly, there's clearly restoration notes, and then there's buffer restoration notes.
Correct.
So the buffer is the 200 foot.
Correct.
So the planting should be...
The buffer is for the 25 foot that's for Lot 2, because that was...
Where are you getting 25 foot?
That's from your ordinance.
What part of the ordinance?
I'll tell you this. The definition of buffer at 175-11 defines buffer as a strip of land containing natural woodlands, earth mounds, and or planted screening material and separating one kind of land use or property from another, as more specifically defined in section 175-93. And at 175-93A, provides a buffer area to residential uses as having a width of 25 feet. And again, buffer areas are planted and maintained with grass or ground cover.
Nothing on the plans referred to a 25-foot buffer, and these plans have been in place for
Right.
quite some time.
As a restoration
And
plan.
so the 200-foot beyond, I would think it says buffer restoration. This is not a buffer, this just is a restoration area.
That is correct.
And then there's restoration notes, and then there's buffer restoration. And it's shown wooded. It's shown with trees in the entire 200-foot buffer. I think there's some confusion
And the
as to
area,
what was approved before and what is being presented to us now.
well, what was approved before was allowed in the area where the access road is, that goes around the perimeter of the site. And that's the area that's going to be supplemented as part of the restoration of the overall mining area. The treat area beyond that still remains, exists, and it isn't being disturbed. There's one area that's recent, is that lot 2, where the 200-foot goes right up to or near the property line, and they have acquired some property that was cleared and used for farming or ranching or whatever it was used for before. It was cleared by the prior owner, and we're proposing to supplement that 25-foot area with additional trees to buffer the residents from so it'd be a 225-foot buffer at that point.
Well, being that there's no existing, wouldn't it make sense to, even if you provided the 25-foot buffer, to supplement that? What are you doing against the other residences?
It's all wooded in those areas.
It's all wooded in those areas.
Undisturbed woods.
Would you agree to, aside from the 25-foot planted buffer, which is not shown in these plans or ever, indicated in any of the prior approvals, that you would supplement it with the types of plantings that you would do in the restoration, which is cluster plantings and the seedlings?
We could do that, a
2,000.
25-foot buffer along.
You would do the 25-foot planted buffer on the outside, and then the remainder of the 200-foot do the same types of plantings that you would do in your restoration areas.
So you're asking us to do 200 feet of planting now as a buffer for lot 2?
Yeah, as the agreed upon, when you get to that area.
When we get to that area and do what? When we do mining in that area to keep, the 200-foot buffer is a requirement to maintain, the spacing from between where the activity occurs and where the property line is. That's the 200 feet. There's no requirement in the resource extraction ordinance to do planting within 200 feet. It's just not to enter into 200 feet from mining activity to the adjoining property line. The plan you're reading from is the restoration plan from disturbed areas that occurred from mining activity, not the buffer plan to lot 2.
Well, what the engineer is referring to as the restoration area, that's part of the mining area. It has the Hall Road, which is going to remain.
Correct.
That's not a buffer. That's not a buffer area. So
that is correct. That's outside of the buffer area. The buffer area goes up to that limit, and then you have the restoration area that slopes down into the mine. And you're restoring the edge of the mine around the perimeter. And it's restored down to close to the water line. You want me to point it out on sheet 10?
I know where you're pointing, right here, right?
Right.
Because we had asked you to point where the restoration where the plantings were going to go.
Right.
And you only pointed to that area. You didn't
Correct.
point to the 200-foot.
It's adjacent to the 200-foot. And it's more visually seen on sheet 9, the reclamation plan. And that's the reclamation plan that's been approved for several years.
Again, Ms. Pellegrini, if I could point the board to how the buffer area is described in Code Section 175-130, B1A. The buffer area is to be designed so no areas of excavation, sedimentation pond, storage area, equipment, or machinery or other structure or facility is closer than 200 feet to any property line. And it actually even allows the board to grant some relief from that down to a distance of 100 feet. So there's no requirement under B1A to plant or to add additional planting to any buffer area. It just requires you to maintain the spacing. We are proposing reading the definition that I referenced earlier of a buffer under 175-11 and 175-93 to add the wooded planted area of 25 feet, really as an accommodation to the concerns expressed in your letter about the owner on Lot 2 who just built a house. And there's a cleared area, as Mr. Jacobs referenced, between his property and the mining property that we didn't clear. But we're proposing to add the 25-foot buffer in there, consistent with the definition under the ordinance, to mitigate any impacts on that homeowner who just built that house recently next to the mining activity that had been there since the 60s as an accommodation to screen that owner's residence from any future mining activity. Maintaining the 200-foot buffer requires what is prescribed by 175-130 B1A. There's no planting required in that section.
I guess my confusion comes because there's restoration, reclamation notes, and then there's procedure for buffer, and it specifically says buffer
In the restoration plan.
in the restoration plan.
What we were showing was where the buffer is, and then the restoration begins. Because it's from the...
This is what I'm referring to right here. That's why I think my confusion comes with the original approval of these plans. I think the understanding was that the 200-foot buffer would have the same type of plantings, all of the 200-foot buffer would have the same type of plantings as restoration. And where it's already wooded, they wouldn't have to do that. I would have to research that further but do you have any comments about?
I don't necessarily have any additional comments on that. Typically speaking, when you use the word buffer in a zoning ordinance, it implies that the entirety of that width is vegetated, and as to where there's just a distance between activities and another property, we use the term setback as opposed to buffer. So the term used here is buffer, but I think Mr. Baranowski does seem to be correct that the actual ordinance doesn't specifically say that the entirety of the 200 feet has to be planted. But it is, as a planner and zoning professional, usually when I see the term buffer width of X, it immediately triggers in my mind that that's supposed to be a planted, vegetated buffer as opposed to just a grass lawn area that's a setback. But the actual language does seem to imply more of a setback rather than a vegetated buffer is required here.
As I understand it, by buying the 150-foot Lot 3, if you do nothing in that lot, you can now just move everything to 50 feet away from that property line.
To 200 feet.
Well, no, the lot's 150 feet wide.
Right.
So you get the benefit of the width of that new lot. Now you're moving everything 50 foot closer to the interior line of that new, of Lot 3.
That is correct.
And you're not doing anything on Lot 3.
Correct.
Through the chair to the solicitor.
Go ahead.
What I understand too, though, that it's wooded lot. The lot is wooded.
Lot 3 is
The buffer's
wooded,
gonna
right,
be.
and we're not doing anything to it, Lot 3 is, that's correct, Lot 3 is wooded.
It's naturally wooded.
That's correct.
There's no,
That, hence what I was saying, I think the only cleared area is behind Lot 2.
Correct, and you
so
know,
how much area is that? That's why I was asking if you would be willing to do not only the 25-foot buffer that you're talking about, but just do some infill seedling plantings to try to revegetate that area.
you know,
This is consistent with my question, because as I read the reclamation process, it says restoration standards. All parcels of land which are used for resource extraction shall be restored as follows. Restoration shall be a continuous process, and each scheduled unit of the parcel shall be restored such that ground cover be established within 2 years and tree cover established within 3 years. And then to your point, after resource extraction is completed from each subsection.
Mm-hmm.
But if you never take the last shovel of sand, until the end, then it never gets restored. Whereas it's clear that it's supposed to be, you're mining in an area, and when you move in that area, that's when you restore it. And by not extracting everything, which I suppose is you're right, you now have a much bigger site that's, you never have to restore.
And no, most of the buffer in existing conditions is relatively wooded. There's just this bare area that,
Near Lot
being
2,
it's adjacent
behind
to
Lot
a residence, other residences are being buffered by what's existing.
How big an area of open area are we talking about? Because you're recommending that they plant sporadic seedlings in that
Just
open
follow
area.
the same reclamation buffer. It's only,
We're going into zone.
Construction area here, it says before moving into another phase, we immediately start restoration. Got a lot of sheep, 10 or 13. That's construction area. Pretty much spelled out right there.
yeah, and I think that you look at the provisions in the code relative to when you have a wet pond as you move forward. The final restoration requires you to stabilize, the banks of the pond at a certain slope and so forth, and you're not backfilling the pond as you go forward into the different phases. I think for a pond, there are some different criteria applicable, and for the past 60 years, including, the last time that we were here in 2021, this has consistently been the interpretation or perspective on when restoration occurs. Understood.
through the chair to the.
Yes, go ahead, Dan.
They're due for their new permit 2026, right, correct?
The new permit goes through 2026, correct? Right, as of right now,
What month, do you know offhand?
it is July.
Okay.
Or June.
So
July.
a lot of this can be addressed then, when they're coming for the new permit, if the solicitor feels that there should be, what areas there should be replenished.
I'm just looking at the picture, and it does look like a big lot of sand,
It doesn't look like what?
Well, it looks like you've mined a lot of it in the area. And there doesn't look like there's a whole lot of restoration that's occurred. Which I understand, because you haven't taken the last.
Yeah, for instance, so when we tried over here, when I was referencing silt, which is material that we try to use, we put that somewhere, and we put it over here, and then there's certain areas that we know not only further to the edges down. If we're allowed 65, we go 50.
So,
Go ahead.
Tim, you were going to estimate how large the area is that you're proposing these plantings?
Right, I think we had to work with your engineer as well. There was some requests for schedules or quantities of materials being removed, and we wanted to get some clarification on what that's calling for as well.
Through the chair again to the solicitor, isn't this why they have the bond? So this way we're not left with the...
It is, so we have to
Right.
examine the value of the bond, but
Right.
I think that's the macro issue. The micro issue, I think, is...
This one area that she's talking about.
Yeah, and if we're talking about putting, putting seedlings and things through an area, that's not a problem, but putting in, we were anticipating a more robust planting with, more mature.
That's clearly what the reclamation plan sounds like. Within 3 years, you've got to have tree cover.
After the activity is done, so the site as it
It's a sapling, not a seed.
restabilizes, right? So, there's some work we could do within that 200-foot area. I think we were looking at something more robust. That would be probably even more effective if we put it in a 25-foot area, probably on a berm with more mature plantings. And, out of consideration, again, for the newly constructed residents on Lot 2, that was our anticipation would be, something that would really mitigate impacts rather than having, saplings.
There's a big, large area behind Lot 2. This whole is here. So, only starts to be wooded to back here. So a berm in a 25-foot buffer could be a more immediate buffer. But I would like to get clarification on, what's supposed to be in the 200-foot buffer as approved. The word buffer is specifically used, and that's my confusion because I wasn't, and I was part of this, I was approved, part of the one of the previous approvals, and that was always my understanding, but I would have to go through the resolutions. But I don't see any objection to, the 25-foot buffer with maybe even a berm, along Lot 2, but if we could can we leave it to the permit to clarify what goes in that 200? I mean, it's not clear in the ordinance.
Well, there's two issues, right? One is what can be done in the area that you indicated that appears to be clear, in terms of making that a more robust buffered area. And I'm confused as to what we want them to do in the 200-foot strip along the entire length of Lot 3 if they're not doing anything on Lot 3 and for the most part it's wooded. What else would we ask them to do?
Yeah, I didn't think any further buffering was part of the discussion from current activity to Lot 3.
You mean the 25-foot buffer?
Well,
I'm not understanding your question.
Lot 3 looks like it's almost wooded, almost completely wooded.
So you mean adjoining to Lot 3? Now, like, what is in the buffer adjacent to Lot 3 going east?
Yes. Right?
Lot 2 has a new dwelling on it, so that's not wooded, not as wooded. This is Lot 1.
Yep.
And that's pretty clear.
And Lot 3 is to the right of Lot 1.
Lot 3 is here.
It runs all the way to the right.
Yeah, it's pretty wooded till about here, and then it's spotted here. Everywhere else,
Which Lot 3, you own Lot 3, correct?
Correct.
You own Lot 1.
Correct. So
So
I
it
think
sounds like you need a buffer around lot 2, right?
Lot 2 is the one with the new dwelling where that's correct. That's what we're discussing. What, and how do we define what goes in that buffer, right? Like, I'm looking at the resource extraction design standards, and buffer just means leaving space. In the way the ordinance described it, as Ms. Pellegrini has noted, as Mr. Docking has noted, there are conceptions of buffer as being inclusive of vegetation, where the mining ordinance design standards just say you leave space. You don't conduct mining in that area. You don't put a pond. You don't put storage equipment. But I think we're saying collectively also, due to some notes, for example, on the restoration plans, which talk about buffered areas being planted, what are we talking about in terms of a buffer? When we talk about a buffer now moving as lot 3 is part of that buffer, but it's not 200 feet wide and it's not totally wooded. Does a buffer requirement under the resource extraction design standards anticipate it's going to be fully wooded or planted? And I don't think it does. I think we're talking about buffering lot 2 with some planting because it has none right now. So we screen it, and we give some visual relief to that new dwelling and that resident. I think the other buffer, I think, and I read you the ordinance as well, that you have actually discretion to reduce that down to 100 feet if you feel the circumstances are appropriate. It still doesn't talk about planning, but I think in your view, if the buffer area is sufficient to mitigate impacts to the adjoining properties, whatever is in there, keeping space, having some woods, having the distance, whatever it may be, I think it's in your purview to determine is that sufficient for serving the purpose of the buffer ordinance. If that makes sense.
And you're agreeable to put that buffer around lot 2?
Yes, I think if we're agreeable, I think Ms. Pellegrini indicated, I don't want to put words in Ms.
Yeah, let's say
Pellegrini's mouth.
vegetative buffer.
Vegetative buffer, I think the 25 feet up close to the property line with a berm gives that property owner more relief, more visual relief than planting 200 feet of saplings, right? So I think that is what we're proposing to address that buffer requirement. And certainly we'll look at putting, we can put some saplings within the balance of that 200 feet because there's nothing there. But I think the planting area that we want to focus on is the proposed 25-foot wide area.
And then how long of a process is this new mining section?
How long? I mean, I think Mr. Graff can speak to the timing of how they get into that newer area.
Can you be more specific with your question? What mining?
So you're not utilizing lot 1, but you're going to utilize that as the 200-foot buffer, right? So 150 feet wide plus 50 feet of, I guess it would be lot 3.
We're going to utilize lot 1, right? We are going to move into lot 1 eventually. Lot 3 is not going to be utilized, right?
Lot 3 will be the buffer.
Okay, all right, so I got them backwards. So
Well,
lot 3
a
will
large
be,
portion
lot
of the
3 is the 150-foot wide, all the way up, highlighted in pink. You're shifting the operation, obviously, to start mining. Would that be lot 2 right next to it?
Yes, so.
Right, so you're going to mine that. How long of
Yeah,
an
so we
operation
will-
is that?
We have a significant amount of time before we even mine that area. Estimates are tough because you don't know how quickly you're going to mine on a year. It's all market derived. 1 year you can do 5 acres, 1 year you can do 1. So it could range, but my estimate would be another 5-10 years till we get there.
So, and that's what I'd really like to know, because then it goes back to our solicitor's point of, that's a 5 or 10 year process, and restoration's not happening anywhere on the property, and I guess nothing has ever been restored in the 60 years, correct?
Correct.
So I guess to the solicitor's point, when does that time come to start restoring at least a portion of it and working our way towards that to closing everything out?
Clearly, the spirit of the ordinance is sort of sequentially 20-acre units at a time where mining occurs and you move on to the next one. And it's built in. You could mine on more than one at a time, but you read it, it's contemplated that you would at some point be moving on and restoring what you left behind.
Through the chair,
Yeah, go ahead,
is there
Dan.
any part of this operation that you're no longer using? That you don't go back to, that you don't?
There's not.
So-
We use it, we utilize it in all the operations day to day. We have a full access road surrounding the entire perimeter to access certain, if the dredge goes down, we got to get to the back and pull it. There's a lot of different ways that we utilize it. Again, silt, backfill being one of them. So no.
Well, let me make it a little clearer. Is there any part of this operation that you're not mining anymore?
Today, no, there's not. There's certain areas that we have not mined in quite some time. But
No,
we've
that you
utilized.
mined, and then that you no longer are going to go back to mine.
Well, like, we can't say we no longer will, because there's a potential to go back to it.
To go back?
Yeah.
And there is, if I could just also add to that, there is a body of case law on resource extraction operation generally. I think, Mr. Campbell, I think you're giving me the nod. You're familiar. There's
I
a,
missed that day in law school.
I know. There's a doctrine of these mining areas that aren't actively mined as being part of the reserves, and they're always kind of deemed, even if they're not actively being extracted, they're part of the active operation because they're like your inventory in the back of the store. You know, you have cans of soup in the back that you haven't brought out to sell yet, but they're there, and they're not, you know, you don't cross them off your list of inventory just because you're not putting them out on the shelf for sale. They could be there for a year, they could be there for 10 years, you know, expirations date notwithstanding in the example, but they're always there and available to the business owner and the resource extraction operator to utilize. And, you know, and there's, like Mr. Graff indicated, operations are continuing throughout the property relative to resource extraction operation on an ongoing basis, even if not, you know, every day. There's no part of the resource extraction overall facility that's really been like closed and it's over.
So, just let me say one thing. Through the chair, then, when they come back for their permit, we have to do our due diligence or whatever board and make sure that the bond has increased considerably, so we're not left with.
Or not, maybe it's a huge bond.
Maybe it is, but as they're increasing the area,
we need to be
cognizant of how much bond and get professionals to say
it's adequate.
maybe it's adequate or it needs to be doubled. Right.
All right.
No, you're good. That's exactly what I was going to say.
You ready to move on?
Yeah, I have some more.
I mean, some of it has to be done by a form of a letter from the engineer to the application on what we're talking about and this and that. It goes a little deep. If we have to get into a bigger argument, we will. But we can also restrict certain things that they have to do. If you mine out of here and you have to backfill it and do whatever you have to do, you should be doing that. That's all. We should be looking at that as we go through the process.
Pam may have a couple of comments.
Go ahead, Pam.
So just so we're clear, you're proposing the 25-foot vegetated buffer with berm around Lot 2 or along the back of Lot 2? I just wanted to be clear.
That would be along the back.
Along the back.
If the board were to make a motion to approve, presumably we'll add a condition that the applicant will work with professional staff to identify the location of that buffer and its characteristics.
And go along with her recommendations.
Right.
Correct.
No problem with that?
Okay.
No, we're agreeable with it.
Okay.
Okay, the next item, environmental assessment. The environmental assessment has not been submitted for review. Since it's under review by Pinelands, including a certificate of filing, as such a waiver has been requested for providing an environmental assessment. We have no objection to that request. Stormwater management drainage calculations have not been submitted for review, but the original drainage narrative was submitted. As proposed, a waiver. The proposed plan does not change the access road or the drainage patterns, therefore the existing basins that were previously approved remain adequate, and as such a waiver has been requested. We have no objection to that waiver. Same for a traffic impact study has not been submitted for review to support the traffic demand in driveway. Is no change in the amount of trucks or traffic. There is no change to the driveway or the access roads that will be used. A waiver has been requested. Legal description was required to be submitted for Lot 3. One was submitted. We have a couple of revisions requested. The applicant, I believe, has indicated that they would provide those.
They can provide those, and as well as the survey.
Okay, thank you. And they've already provided testimony regarding our general comment about the large pile of debris with a construction trailer. Being that the pile should be removed from the site in a timely manner, and they've testified that it will be removed by the end of the month. Under fees, contribution, and obligations, the applicant has, I believe, agreed to comply except where it may not be applicable,
Correct.
and that's yet to be determined, whether the statewide non-residential development fee and the developer's agreement would need to be provided. And as all others, outside agency approvals would need to be provided.
So anyone handle that, Mr. Baranowski? The comment that Mrs. Pellegrini made, was that it's not yet been determined whether or not the COA trust fund fee would have to be paid. Is that what you just said?
They're saying that a statewide non-residential development fee is not required. So I would have to look into that. I don't know that off the top of my head.
I don't think it is, but will you agree that if I'm wrong, that you still owe it?
Bless you. If you're wrong and I'm wrong and it applies, I think we're in the soup.
That's my
But I'm with you. I think
Boilerplate, so I'm sure that,
I thought you were calling something else out.
yeah.
My understanding of the amended Fair Housing Act is that any resource extraction operations are exempt from the development fee, but they do have to provide a certain portion of their sand now to township residents at a reduced fee. Would you agree with that?
we have to. Is that right?
No, I'm making it.
Yeah, because I know.
I never heard.
You've been to England and you brought back the dry humor with you.
I've been there well before I spent there.
I would have caught on quicker, Chris, if you would have said we had to provide the board professionals with sand at a reduced fee.
I don't need any sand.
Okay.
Through the chair,
Reminded something else.
Yes, go ahead, Dan.
Sam, where they're demoing the houses, where they're gonna be demoing, they're gonna restore that area? to some extent?
I would hope so. It's not within the 200-foot buffer per se,
No, but they don't just,
but they should reclaim it with vegetative cover and if it's,
we're gonna put that as a condition?
It's fine, I'm making that note.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, whether, what's the, I can ask, what's the ETA for tearing these houses? I understand after you get possession, but you right away, or it's something you're gonna do later on, or they're gonna be vacant?
I think we'd ask for 60 days after
They're
vacate.
vacated?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
To get professionals in and clear and remove.
Clear it and then
Yeah.
put some kind of vegetation back, okay?
All right.
That's fine. Yes, we're agreeing with that.
Yeah.
All right. I guess we'll move, anything else you have? Pam?
that's,
ahead.
concludes my report.
Huh? Yeah, no, I haven't get to it yet. You got everything done, Pam?
Yes, that concludes my report.
All right. Chris?
Now, I do not have much to add. My primary concern here is about the reclamation plan, and then the
Okay.
township code doesn't seem to imply there's an understanding that it would be an ongoing, you mine here, you get finished with that, you restore it, you move on. I'm also not in a position to say that I can challenge the way they're preferring that they are sort of actively mining the entire site or holding it in reserve. To me, it sounds a lot like my 5-year-old when I tell her she needs to put away her toys. one set before she starts moving something else, and she says, no, but I'm still playing with all of it. That that might be the case, that they are still trying to actively mine everything. I can't really dispute that. But it does definitely seem to be the intent of the ordinance is that they mine one portion of the site, and then eventually, as you move on, circle around, that you are restoring as you go, kind of a clean as you go kind of thing. But again, I think a lot of my comments have to do with just them confirming that they're in compliance with the numerous requirements of the code that largely would again be brought up to the discretion of the township council in a year or so when you have the opportunity to renew their mining permit, more so than a zoning and planning board issue. They do seem to be in compliance with all of the requirements as it pertains to the zoning and then locational issues. As far as I can tell, there are no variances or design waivers required here. It's my understanding of the code. It seems to be largely that the township council's discretion, the ability to renew or revoke a mining permit or resource extraction permit, I should say, more so than the planning board level here.
All right. Any board member have a comment on this application? All right. What do you think?
So, Mr. Chairman, if the board was inclined to grant a motion to make a motion and grant the application, I would suggest the following conditions be included. One, that the applicant work with the board staff regarding the location and characteristics of a 25-foot buffer to be located on lot. Two?
I didn't put that in there.
Lot 2?
Lot 2 is the lot to be buffered.
The lot to be buffered, yeah.
So it would be on lot 1?
Lot 1, yeah.
Yeah, so a 25-foot buffer within lot 1 in order to add additional screening to lot 2. That the applicant agrees that no commercial activity will occur on any property where there currently exists a residential use until that residential use ceases. The applicant will remove the debris referred to in the engineer's report at section 6 within 30 days, 60 days? Within 30 days of the adoption of the resolution approving the application. And to the extent that the applicant is going to be demolishing houses, that promptly thereafter they will stabilize the area where the houses are demolished and will work with the staff regarding appropriate plantings in these areas.
They agreed to 60 days.
60 days on the replanting? Yeah.
All right.
And the normal conditions that you would apply.
Okay.
Accepting comments in the letters.
One other thing before we move on. I need a motion to open to the public. You heard our comment from our solicitor. We'll go back to that after we get done with the public portion.
Second.
Yeah. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Anyone from the public would like to comment on this application before the board? Seeing none, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the public portion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I need a motion to, what our solicitor went over, all the items that we talked about tonight, be put on the paperwork. I need a motion to approve the application with them comments.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second? Roll call.
With all the conditions as stated.
Yeah, with all the conditions that we talked about this evening.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mr. Young? Yes. Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Mr. Giacomucci? Mr. Kozak?
Yes, with the conditions listed by our board solicitor and agreed upon by the applicant.
Mr. Hessel?
Yes.
Mr. Maury?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Thank you.
All right, moving right on.
Pick up the
What is the next order of business?
That's what he said.
Ordinance for discussion. Who made that up? Who's got that ordinance?
Make love.
Oh, you gonna go over this then? Okay.
So, Mr. Chairman, the next matter on your agenda is for you to consider a resolution recommending that council vacate a portion of Maple Avenue. The owners of the property in question came before the zoning board and got a use variance, got relief, and there's a portion of Maple Avenue that's between two lots, and the Board of Adjustment granted the property owners relief and recommended that they have the road vacated to help make that development possible. The council had read a resolution into the record and taken the first step to do that. In doing so, they referred that ordinance to you for review and consideration. And if you agree that Maple Avenue, that portion of it should be vacated, you would then adopt a resolution tonight recommending to council that they vacate that small portion of Maple Avenue. Your engineer has some familiarity with it, and could you review with the board the nature of the request to vacate this section of Maple Avenue?
Yes, this application came before the zoning board. They were combining two lots, and they also needed a use variance because the garage sat a little bit forward of the house. Anyway,
We gotta ship it over.
the garage was built at the same time as the house in 1948. The house sits within the Maple Avenue right of way.
Paper Street.
The paper street, and their garage is on the other side of the paper street, so they wanted to combine those lots. And so half of Maple Avenue that travels through those two lots that they own needs to be vacated. It was a condition of their use variance approval in order for them to consolidate the lots and use it as it's, presently used with the house and the garage and the driveway.
And so the way the process works when a road gets vacated is it gets vacated by an ordinance the town council has to adopt. They don't adopt it until you review it and make a recommendation to council. And you have to be confident that that portion of the road that's being vacated is no longer necessary for public use and will not adversely affect the public interest. And as Pam pointed out, and as the mayor pointed out, it's a paper street and it hasn't been used. And so it's a pretty strong, compelling argument that it's not necessary for public use since it hasn't been used and it doesn't look like it will be used. And vacating it doesn't look like it will adversely impact public interest. And it looks like Mr. Myrick's here.
If I could just comment on one other thing, I believe there's an agreement with the additional property owner that there will be an easement granted to still allow them access to get to and from their property, which they have access on both sides, but they wanted to continue to use that. So there was an agreement for an easement to be granted.
Yeah, once you
Yes. What we're going to move to before the applicant's here, or the owner, not the owner? Why don't you just state your name for the record?
Edward Dodson.
Go ahead.
I have the property to the other end of Maple Avenue.
Okay.
We're the ones been using it for, I bought the property in '85, but.
Can I swear you in? If you're going to tell us facts, can I swear you in?
Yeah.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm what you're about to tell the board is the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Go right ahead.
Tell the board. Yep.
Okay, and we've been using the road for 38 years. And I got a letter here. They agreed to let us go in here, but it's a letter from the lawyer where it's stating I can exit on Winslow Road. I want to be able to exit and enter. We come in more than that because we pull little trailers. And they also said they would give us the right to, if we sold the property, that right to use that road goes with the sales.
And is that what they approved before the zoning board?
It wasn't part of that. It was just a condition that they have an agreement with the neighbors.
Yeah, so my understanding is the zoning board conditioned their approval on them reaching an agreement with you.
And providing an easement.
And providing an easement that would recorded, it would run with the land, and would benefit you even if they sold it. So,
Are we talking about the Maple Ave next to the old school?
Yeah.
No.
No.
Because I'm trying to.
Windsor Road.
Yeah,
it's not a road, it's a paper street.
Paper street.
It's
Yeah.
behind Accurate Industry.
So basically, if I could just kind of recap, this home was built in the middle of the paper street. So there's no actual street there, but there's been a driveway, basically entrance and exit to get to his property on both sides. And basically I guess the original owner whose house was built in the middle of this paper street, why it wasn't caught way back when, but, their family wants to sell that home now, and it's not profitable because nobody's going to buy a home that is sitting on top of a paper street. You know, so that's the issue. But from my understanding, the zoning board did grant it with easement to give this gentleman access to go to and from. But I see his concern. Maybe Mr. Campbell, you can comment on this, but his letter from the attorney says that he can only exit. Or it doesn't say that he can only, it just talks about exiting, not entering. So can we get clarification on that too?
It said in an easement, but then it does just say exit.
So, and who's that letter from?
The letter's from the Andrew Viola, who's representing Lakeisha Colburn.
I got it.
Should we have copies of that?
So that easement is going to be subject to review and approval by the zoning board's attorney, right? Because
It should be, yeah.
What's that?
Yeah, it should be.
It should be. So if the zoning board required that easement as a condition of the variance, then that easement should be subject to the review and approval by the solicitor or the lawyer for the zoning board. And so we can make that note, or we can make that comment back to council, that to the extent that it's vacated, we think that the easement needs to be reviewed and approved by the township's attorney or the zoning board's attorney, so that it adequately addresses that concern. I'm okay with that.
Okay, and there is actually a portion of Maple, Ave there, Maple Street, wherever. Apparently, I don't know if anybody know the Towies, they were here, and he started a business in '36. It was the grandfather, the father, then the son just passed. For some reason, they say he moved the stakes out when it was staked for the house. But there is like a one vehicle portion left on Maple Ave.
All right. Anything else?
No.
All right. We'll definitely take that under consideration on the process that we have to go through. You need something from him?
If he's not happy with the wording, he's not agreeing, so they don't actually have an agreement as part of the condition.
Yeah, so I have drafted a resolution. I'm going to handwrite in.
Okay.
What I'm going to handwrite in is, the planning board recommends that council require the easement providing access to, what's your address? What's your
address?
What's your address?
On Maple?
Yes.
We never had an address for 911, and we bought lots on Filbert. So then we actually got an address.
Well, how do I describe the property that wants to have the benefit of this easement? Do I use a street address? Do I?
Well, I don't know. We
Your
bought
mailing address.
There you go.
our mailing address.
Your mailing address.
Yeah.
We never had a, oh, okay.
Where they mailed that letter to you? Where?
The letter, you don't want to hear that story either. I had a P.O. box, they closed. They mailed it the 10th, I just got it Friday.
17 Filbert,
19.
19 Philbrook.
Okay, because you gave 17 when you were before the zoning board, I'm just looking at their paperwork.
I actually have the paperwork here, so.
I would imagine whatever the zoning board resolution would reference the block and lot that the easement is required, I would hope. I'm not a part of that process either, I'm not involved in the zoning board.
Here's the resolution from the subdivision.
Okay. Then they'll give it back to us, and we ship it to the
That's
council,
lot,
right?
and this lot.
So this is you.
And then we bought these.
Yep.
You just mentioned when he
And
goes
that's
for the
the-
public portion.
That's when we finally got it going.
Lot 5 and 6.
All
Okay.
right,
5 and 6.
we got it, we're gonna do a resolution on this thing to try to resolve it for you.
Yeah, and so
All right?
so the condition is that Ms. Pellegrini said the easement should be shown on the plan, and Mr. Viola agreed they will add it as a condition of approval. And Mr. Kozak clarified that the easement will run with the land. Yep. So
This
it's,
is the house that's built on Paper Street, this is Mr. Dodson's.
so it's lot 5 and 6.
And
Yep.
this is the actual easement
Yep.
that's proposed. I knew I kept these papers for a reason.
Thanks, got it.
Actually, the first lot we bought, it gave us the address we bought from here, it was on the tax here.
All right, we're gonna try to straighten it out for you, all right?
Okay,
Thank you very much for your time.
thank you, have a good evening.
All right,
So I've drafted a resolution for the board to adopt. And
listen,
it's,
you can listen up.
it's Planning Board Resolution 3425, and it basically reviews,
Sir, listen.
it reviews what the testimony is that you just heard. And it concludes that the planning board determines that the proposed ordinance is consistent with the master plan of the Township of Monroe, which I think is true. And that the section of Maple Street that is to be vacated pursuant to the Maple Avenue ordinance is no longer necessary for public use and will not adversely affect the public interest. And then I handwrote in 3. The planning board recommends that council require the easements providing access to lots 5 and 6 will be subject to review and approval by the township solicitor and the zoning board solicitor. And that's our recommendation to council.
Mr. Campbell, if I could, just looking at this map, there is a lot 8. I don't know who owns that, that could also be affected by that.
5, 6, and 8.
Let me see,
Wait.
hold on.
All right.
Lot 80 is owned by it used to be the Accurate, the dumpster place. That's who owns it. I tried to buy it, he won't sell it for fear they can build a house and then make trouble for the residential.
Are you talking about this lot 8?
We gotta make
This
a
one?
motion.
Well,
Okay, that's a different.
we'll get there. Yeah, in paragraph 11 in the zoning resolutions, the applicant through council shall prepare an egress easement, both. And said easement shall be approved by the board
Actually,
solicitor.
my notes from the zoning board said all neighbors.
Okay, and the condition 11 is that the applicant through council shall prepare an egress egress easement, so that's in and out, and said easement shall be approved by the board solicitor prior to execution and recording. So that's a condition of the variance. They've got to do an ingress and egress easement. It's got to be reviewed by the board's lawyer. So that's helpful too.
So you are covered.
You're covered.
So we gotta make a motion.
'Cause another thing that concerns me, the lot that I don't own, if they were to close Maple, I wouldn't have no way to get into my building.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, thank you so much.
So that is Planning Board Resolution 34-25 entitled Planning Board Resolution recommending the adoption of an ordinance vacating a portion of Maple Avenue as amended with my handwritten scribble.
Okay. You heard our solicitor? I need a motion.
Second.
All in favor? You wanna do it all in favor? No, you better do it roll call on something like this.
Mr. Giacomucci? Yes. Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Mr. Kozak?
Yes.
Mr. Hessel? Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mr. Mari?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Recommended to council.
All right, next order of business, approval of the minutes of October 6, 2025. Need a motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next order of business, I need a motion to open to the public. Seeing none, hearing none, entertain a motion to close. All in favor?
Aye.
I think that's where we're at. The next meeting is what?
I think you got one other thing there.
Oh, what's that?
You have, we usually.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, that's it.
Right, so on the agenda-
Report by the solicitor.
Thanks for that. There, on the agenda is a report from the solicitor, which is something unusual, but I wanted to bring you up to speed on the fact that there's a member of the zoning board who made a relatively innocuous application, but all of the members of the zoning board understandably recused themselves. And so the law provides that when the zoning board does not have sufficient members because of conflicts for a quorum, that members on the planning board can sit as alternates on the zoning board. And vice versa. If for some reason you had insufficient members for a quorum and there was a member of the zoning board who was available by seniority, they could sit on the planning board. In any event, the zoning board, because it's a member of their own body, is making the application, the zoning board members have recused themselves. And so I believe, will it be December? If the board's inclined, we will sit as the zoning hearing board in December. As alternate members, I'll be conflict counsel or alternate counsel, and you'll be the acting zoning chairperson. And we'll hear an application by a member of the zoning board for a, so it's just a, what's the nature of the variance? Is it a fence?
It's a bulk variance,
It's
side yard setback, rear yard setback.
Yeah, it's for a fence or some addition, a shed. It's a shed variance, right? So it's a relatively modest, it's not, I don't anticipate that it would be controversial, but in an abundance of caution, the members of the zoning board have recused themselves. And as a result, you're the zoning board for a night for a few minutes.
Can we handle that as a special zoning board meeting?
I would schedule it on the same night that you have a meeting. I wouldn't do another meeting for it. And either that's
December 1st?
on December 1st, we would recess out of our planning board meeting and convene as a zoning board.
So I have to advertise a time, I have to do public.
Advertise it at 6, you can advertise it at 6:30, we just won't start it.
Okay,
I'm okay with that.
okay.
And we'll announce at the beginning.
That way anybody that wants to be here will be here at
Yep.
6:30 and we'll just do it when we're done planning.
Yes.
We will have planning board applications.
Yep. You might take that one first. We could, you know what I mean? Like if it's short and simple and you have other one that's complicated. But that's the chairman's prerogative as to how we move this on the agenda.
I'll move it up on.
Or not. It's up to you.
No, we'll do it. Look, we get things done.
Yes, we do.
Tell everybody what day that's when we start the hearing.
Okay.
I got that hearing too.
Adjourn, motion to adjourn?
We need a motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Second. We need a second.
A second.
What was it? Oh.
Aye.
Thank you.
Adjourn.
Personally, what?
I'm going nuts, man. Crazy.